in this video I am going to tell you how to create a simple timer or a stopwatch using Tkinter in Python. Before watching this video, I hope that you know how to use the basic Tkinter modules and classes in Python. If you don't know how to use class in Python using Tkinter, then please refer my video. The link is in the description. Now starting with, I have created a class named app in this, and the class app do have the following 5 things. That is, first is the count variable. The count variable will tell us whether the timer is to be started or not. If the count value is 0, it means that the start button should work, that is the timer should work, or if it is 1, then the timer should stop. Further, there is an init method. Init method refers to the initializer that is automatically to be run whenever an object of the class app is created. That is, whenever I create any object of class app, then this method will automatically be called. The init method consists of a root tk window and a label. The label is used for displaying the time, and there are 3 buttons. First is the start button, next is the reset button, and the last one is the stop button. Corresponding to all the 3 buttons, there is the functioning as well. So we have 3 functions for this. First is the reset function. The reset function is for resetting the value to 0. The start function generally starts the timer. Now functioning of the start function is as follows. It generally do 2 things. First, it initializes the count to 0, and second, it calls the start timer function. Next, the start timer function in turn calls the timer function. You will get a clear idea of what these functions are doing when we will go on to the code. And the last function is the stop function that is used to stop the timer. Also, you need to know that the time that is 0 is given in the form of a string, because the label holds the value in form of a string. So the time is initially a string, and we need to convert it into integer for processing. Now let's go to the code. Now here's the code. I need to, well, this is not required. I need to import the Tkinter module, and after that I declared a variable count. This is to be declared globally, and I initialize count to 0. This is also not required to initialize here anyway, but it's fine if you do so. Next, I have declared a class app. Now A is an object of the class, so whenever I create any object of class A, then its init method to be called. So here is the init method. The init method consists of a window, that is the Tkinter window named root. The title is set as StopWatch, and the geometry is 600 by 500. I have set the resizable false. Also, I have taken a variable that is a dynamic variable. This is string var. Actually, we can pass the text of the label in 2 ways, the dynamically as well as statically. This method generally passes in the dynamic way. Okay, so I have declared a variable t that is string var type. Further, I set the value of t variable as 0 initially. Then I created a label lb, and I set the text of this label as t. We use text variable term whenever we pass the variable as dynamically. Okay, now I config and I set the font of this label as follows. Further, I created 3 buttons. Now bt1, bt2, bt3, and these are performing the functions start, stop, and reset. So here in command equals to, this is calling the start function of the same class, and this is calling the stop function, this is calling the reset function. Further, I have placed these in my frame by giving the position to each and every widget. Okay, so hope this is quite simple. Now moving on, the first function is the reset function. Now what the reset function do is, it simply sets the value of count to 1. Now when the value of count is 1, the timer will automatically stop, and it also sets the value of the label as 0. This is the functioning of the reset function. Okay, now next is the start function. Now I told you the start function does two things, that is, first it sets the value of count to 0, and second it calls the start timer function. Okay, now the start timer function in turn calls the self timer function. Hope this is clear. Now what the timer function doing is, it first checks that if the count value is 0, then it runs the following code. The following code is, I have taken the value from the label by calling the get function of the t variable. Okay, so this is the value that I get from the label. I converted it into string, although this is not required. Yeah, it is required because I have used the term string variable in the label. Okay, so I need to convert it into string. So for conversion into string, I use str, and then I pass it into d variable. Now d variable holds a string, that is the time. Okay, initially it is 0, so this d variable holds 0. Now I splitted this d into 3, that is hours, minutes and seconds respectively, and I converted it into integer using the map function. Then h is equals to integer of h, and although this is not required, I have written it twice, but this in turn converts the code into integer. I have written it twice, but okay. Now it first checks if s value is less than 59, then we simply increment the value of s, and if the value of s is 59, then we reset the value of s to 0. The same logic goes on with minutes and hours as well, so I have done the same. Now further, there is one more concept to note, that for example, if there is a number, let's say 10:10:10, this time displays in a 2-digit value. But what if the number is a single digit number? For example, it is 1, 2 and 3, and I want to display this as 01, 02 and 03 respectively. So in order to achieve this, I have used this logic. What is this doing? It is checking that if h is less than 10, then I am concatenating a 0 in front of h. Okay, and converting this in string as well. Now I have converted all these 3, that is hours, minutes and seconds respectively, into the strings, and after converting into strings, I have concatenated them, and this is the original form. Now after concatenating, the value would be 00:00:01 initially. Okay, now I need to call this again and again. So for doing so, I have again checked if count is equal to 0, I need to call this. Now what is this doing? The after method is a method that is in the root, which allows us to call a certain function after this much milliseconds. Now I have written here 9:30, so this function, that is start timer function, would be called again and again after 9:30 milliseconds, and this condition will be true if count is equal to 0. Okay, that's why whenever we'll click on reset, the count value will be set to 1, and this function would not be called again and again. Okay, so hope this is the functioning of the start function. Hope so this is clear to you. Next, going on to the stop function. The stop function is simple. It is just setting the count value to 1. So it's stopping the calling of the start timer function again and again. So this is the simple logic that I have applied on creating a timer. Now let's see how this function or this program works on. Wait a second. So yeah, it is a timer here, and if I call on the start function, it starts the timer. When I click on the stop button, it stops the timer. I click on the reset, it resets the timer. Hope so this is a simple logic. Any doubts or any queries, please mention down in the comments, and if you like my video, please subscribe my channel as well for more such videos on Python and various programming languages. Thanks and have a nice day.